Was the FBI treating Twitter like it was its own subsidiary? What about the Department of Homeland Security? Were they also imposing their will on Twitter? How were accounts being turned on or off, suspended, and even sometimes deleted permanently? Many of these things, as we see Twitter File 6, we are seeing that a lot of information about how FBI was influencing Twitter to do some things, and it was more or less a mandate from FBI saying that you shall do this, you shall do that. So this is the gist of Twitter File 6, and I'm going to give you the link to that in a thread reader so that it's easier for you to read it like a story rather than a series of tweets. I find it easier to read the whole thing as a story. That is in the reference section. Now let's take a quick look at the categories under which FBI was flagging some accounts, and it just makes it just stunning. That's the only word I can say to describe it. Twitter's contact with the FBI was constant and pervasive, as if it were a subsidiary. They have their own unit task force called the FTIF, and this was created after the 2016 situation that indicated that perhaps the 2016 presidential elections were influenced by Russia. And again, this for now 18 months, the Democrats had time to prove that there was Russian interference, but they have not. So, all these things seem like it's the same. It doesn't matter which part of the world the politicians are there, they will always make up something, peddle lies, and then when it comes time to do something about it, they just ignore it and move on with as if that thing never happened. So anyway, the FTIF was keeping a very close watch on people's tweets, and it's basically like Big Brother watching, in my opinion. And it's not just the FBI. The Department of Homeland Security also was looking at many of these tweets very closely and telling Twitter what it should and should not do. What kind of tweets were being suspended? Satirical tweets? I mean, in the United States, satire is a way of life. Most of the time, somebody censors you in a funny way, in a joke, but it's actually saying that you are wrong without saying it in so many words. Imagine if you are telling your boss that he is wrong. Would you say it to his face that you are wrong? Well, at the peril of losing your job, you might, but at the same time, people kind of get their words in edgewise. Sometimes, evening drinking parties are all for that. Somebody gets high, then they can say some things to their boss, and then next day, if the boss confronts them, say, well, I was high, I don't know what I was talking about. At the same time, the boss gets the message. Anyway, these are all tactics that the employees use to let off some steam. Jokes. Serious jokes, simple jokes were used as a pretext to suspend a particular Twitter account. In all these things, the important thing that has to be noted is these people were not having high followers. In other words, they were not influencers. If you are having like 1,000 followers or 100 followers and then you are, docked, I mean, it feels like the FBI was, jumping the gun here. That's how I say it. And interestingly, there were also favorites. Some got caught, some even escaped. And if you, God forbid, if you tweeted anything to do with EVM, for instance, if there was a tweet saying that the modem from this particular EVM machine to this server is now active and it's being used to send, even those accounts were suspended. And the Department of Homeland Security had its own set of directives to tell people what to tell Twitter what to do and what not to do. So in all these things, what can one assume? That social media is a powerful media. Yes, no doubts about that. Did it influence an election one way or the other? Well, this is where things get a little gray. Cambridge Analytica did exploit the fact that Facebook wanted to earn advertising money, and that's how they used all these different ways to message, very, very selective messaging based on the geographic location of the particular voter, and they were being effective. Well, what is that? How is that different from a candidate using television to fine-tune his message or her message to a particular district? In other words, if district A has a particular problem and it amplifies that there, and district B has a slightly different approach, and perhaps even opposite to that of district A, they might use that too. See, the takeaway here is, at what point does the government deem that social media units like Twitter and Facebook are so big that they are actually causing people to act? I do agree that whenever there's a call to violence of any form, that does stir up emotions. And also remember, by nature, social media is a ecosystem. It's a platform. It's a silo. It's a place where it's like an echo chamber. Where whatever you say will be listened to by people with similar thought processes, and therefore that echo chamber tends to amplify things. But once it comes out of that, people are busy looking at their own echo chambers. I don't think this silo's data comes and impacts this data. Usually not. And for the most part, these things cancel each other out. But with it, that is the funny part about it. Most of us wake up to social media. I've said this thing before, and please remember that there are always two sides to a story. So don't take what you are getting by way of WhatsApp forwards or Twitter tweets or social media just at face value. Do your research if you want to really form an opinion. If you're just reading something for just skimming the surface, that's fine. Thanks for liking. Please also share and subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to click on the bell button for notifications. Namaskar.